Good evening. I call to order a regular meeting of the Watchung Board of Education. Today is November 21st, and we are starting at 7:05 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to a meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung. Please be advised that this and all meetings of the board are open to the public and media, consistent to the Open Public Records Act, Chapter 231, Laws of 1975, and that the advance notice required therein has been provided. This is a regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Borough of Watchung, at which formal action may be taken. This meeting is being live streamed on the district website, where a recording of the meeting also will be posted. The public will have an opportunity to be heard, shown on the agenda at points of the meeting, provided that the public to address the board. Recording or photographs other than the private personal use requires the consent of parents, guardians whose children are included in the image. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Karen-Bishop-Johnson?
Mrs. Agliaro. Here. Mrs. Amadeo. Here. Mr. Frage. Currently not here. Mr. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mrs. Harvey. Here. Mr. Ingracia. Currently not here. Mrs. Jewett. Here. Mrs. Santos. Here. And Dr. Vinces Kua. Here. Thank you.
Okay, so normally we would go into an executive session, but at this point we're going to actually move to public comments first, just in case, and then we'll move into executive session. So I'll read the public comments. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak.
Wait.
So you're just moving we don't have a presentation, so you're just moving the executive session down, and we go right to
Okay.
superintendent.
Sorry, disregard. Okay, so we're going to move the executive session down, and we're going to go into superintendent remarks? Okay.
Perfect. So we do not have a presentation tonight on the referendum. Connor is not available, so in his absence, I'm going to read the update from Legacy Construction Management on the referendum projects, and then we'll go to Mrs. Fickner for her report, and Karen, and we'll circle back to me on the district. So from Connor. Progress has continued with the HVAC since the last board meeting. Over the last 2 weeks, we anticipate the unit ventilator portion of the contract to be substantially complete. Legacy is in communication with the architect and the contractor to potentially issue a partial punch list of the work performed up until this point. The chillers are not finished. That work is scheduled in the spring, and there is some non-critical scope of work remaining. The crews in the building will become drastically reduced and only handling the remaining punch list items. Legacy will also have a reduced presence in the district, but still maintain communication and leading coordination until the next phase of work begins. The project's finances have been reviewed, and credits back from all 3 projects are anticipated. Regarding the upcoming projects, including the Field and Outdoor Learning Commons, we are still projecting sufficient funding within the referendum. Connor has met with Karen Bishop-Johnson. They'll continue to have subsequent meetings to confirm all referendum-associated items and expenses. Looking ahead to the upcoming Field and Outdoor Learning Commons projects, meetings with the architect and middle school stakeholders, principal kid, coaches, teacher representatives are being scheduled during the next few weeks, and we expect to start gathering public input after that. It's the plan to be able to finalize the design for the new spaces, advertise, and go out to bid at the start of the new year, so that work can be completed next summer. I don't know if I can answer questions, but if you have questions on Connor's update? No? Okay. So, Mrs. Fickner.
Hello, good evening. All right, I'll start out with the the principal report for both schools. We celebrated Red Ribbon Week October 23rd through October 31st with special activities to reinforce the theme of living a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. At Bayberry, classes competed in Candy Wars to support WEF Trunk or Treat. As a school, we collected over 950 pounds of candy. So we keep collecting more and more each year, but we're happy to support WEF in their fundraiser. Our winner for the Candy Wars was Mrs. Smith's class, and they are looking forward to their ice cream party. I don't think they had it just yet. Students showed off their costumes during the Bayberry Halloween Parade on Thursday, October 31st. Students also enjoyed spooky crafts, games, and special treats during their Halloween parties. Parent-teacher conferences were held at Bayberry on November 4th and 6th. Students learned about Diwali through various classroom activities led by students, staff, and parent volunteers at both schools. The Mountaineer Mondays at Valley View have explored the themes of growth mindset and gratitude. At Valley View, marking period 1 ended on November 6th, and grades were available to parents on November 15th in the Genesis Parent Portal. Students and staff honored Veterans Day on November 11th by wearing red, white, and blue, and through classroom conversations. Tomorrow at Valley View, there are picture retakes, and students will enjoy the PTO-sponsored author presentation for 5th graders. We are looking forward to the WEF-sponsored Friendsgiving at both schools tomorrow. Thank you to WEF and PTO for their generosity and support. Both schools have also begun their service learning projects through Adopt a Family and the Siwa Diwali Food Drive. Please continue to send in canned goods and gifts for the families in need. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. You stay till the end, I'll show you the pictures. No, just this part. Karen, did you have a
The business office, the biggest thing that's happening there is we received our preliminary audit report. So I bet you guys are really thrilled about that, but we will be reviewing that in December. Valerie from Nisavacia, Valerie Dolan, will be coming, and prior to that in committee, we will discuss it. Thank you.
Okay, so I just got
That's,
to
you
get,
got me still. It's going to be the easiest night so far ever. So Erin, if you could start our pictures, our monthly fun pictures. To Connor's referendum report, I'm going to add that we have had the team in the Valley View gym. You can see it a little bit up there on the slideshow. This week, reinstalling the adventure course and all of the additional components generously funded by WEF. It is going to be amazing. I'm excited when I'm in there. I can't get over it. I will also tell you that the students, and we'll get to those pictures, I guess, in a second, are actively engaged in the library and in the art space. They are fully in there. Today I got to, this is part of it, I got to observe a health class working in the collaborative space. In the art room, we have students preparing for shiminagasi, which is a Japanese technique of floating ink on water to make patterns that they transfer to paper or material. It was very, very cool. I would like to do it myself. And now that we can start to see progress on the referendum projects, we are looking to schedule an open house for the public. We want to welcome you into the library and art spaces, as well as do a ribbon cutting for the adventure course in the Valley View gym. Stay tuned. We will send an invitation, not just to our school community, but to our full learning community and partners in Watchung Borough. Since the last board meeting, we've had a lot of fun at the Trunk or Treat, at WEF's Trunk or Treat. You'll see some pictures. There they come. And also during the Halloween parade and all of the parties and events that Mrs. Fickner talked about during her report. I have to say, everybody's costumes and trunks were incredibly creative. And that candy, I did take a picture, but I could not add it to my slideshow. You would not believe how much 900 pounds of candy is. It was incredible and passed out. and ran out, which is also what I can't believe, but it was a lot of fun. The Diwali food collection drive that Mrs. Fichtner and Valley View talked about is continuing at Bayberry and Valley View through next Tuesday. Donations of any non-perishable vegetarian items, as well as toiletries, feminine hygiene products, diapers, all greatly appreciated. There was staff development at Bayberry this week, awareness and understanding of anti-Semitism that could occur in schools. We're going to be continuing to collaborate with Singh, who we're doing the Diwali food drive with, on Hindu culture and awareness for our staff and students this spring. Also, there you see, there he is, Motzi. So thank you to Creative Comfort for giving a grant again this year to visit Mrs. Stack's room, Motzi and Fauci. I think he's there, he is. And their dogs. Thank you, Mrs. Ruth, Miss Cindy, for coming in to do that. Next, was it 2 Wednesdays? Wednesday, December 4th. The PTO is going to be providing 2 assemblies at Valley View. One is geared to 5th and 6th graders. One is geared to 7th and 8th graders. The assemblies will be featuring Dr. Fallon, Dr. Michael Fallon, who, if you've seen him before, is known as Mikey. That same night, that Wednesday evening, he's going to give a parent presentation so that you're able to share and discuss the experience with your child. And just a little background, in this one-man presentation, Mikey takes the audience on an experiential journey, having them re-examine core precepts taught to us as early as 1st grade, using humor, performance art, poetry, storytelling, psychology, and theatrical monologues. His personal journey is a moving experience for everyone. Thank you, PTO, for providing the experiences for our students, the opportunity for our parents and families to continue the conversations at home that are started at school. We found last year how valuable that was, and this will be, for this year, the first in what we hope to be a series of these kinds of parent conversations, continuing the school lessons at home. And just finally, a reminder that we have early dismissal on Wednesday, November 27th. We're closed Thursday and Friday, November 28th and 29th, for the Thanksgiving holiday. And I guess a reminder, our greatest blessings aren't maybe the food on our plates, but when you listen to what's happening in the schools, in the community that surrounds us, that's where we can place our gratitude. Thank you all, board, community, for being a source of support and sharing joy, right, throughout the whole year. I hope that everybody is able to enjoy friends and family, and if you're traveling, stay safe. After your committee, after. Yep.
Right, so we're going to skip Personnel Committee for now.
Oh, no,
Mo's on his way.
you're doing your committee report.
Right, we're going to skip Personnel. We're going to start with Curriculum first.
Oh.
Mo's on his way. He should be
Oh,
here in
oh,
2
okay.
minutes. Stuart, do you mind doing Curriculum?
Want to do curriculum? Sure.
Yeah, we'll start first.
Okay. Okay, we met yesterday, November 20th, from 4:10 to 5:40. It was a virtual meeting. The people who were there were our committee members, myself, Dory, Harvey, Fatima Santos, Mohammed came in virtually. Administration and guests were Dr. Glazer, our principals, Kidd, and Fichtner. Special Services Director was Nicole DeToda. New business, okay. There's going to be an expansion of the autism program. The children who are in an autism program at Bayberry, we're looking to see how it's going to be expanded to Valley View. The meeting opened with a discussion from Principal Kidd and Special Services Director Nicole DeToda regarding an update on the expansion of the autism program from Bayberry to Valley View. These plans have been in the workings for quite a while, and when the room and facilities are ready, they will be presented to the parents. The use of fields and outdoor learning commons to support the needs of all children, including a place for games as well as sports, is being planned. 2 teachers are being sent to Maine to attend a conference regarding the development of outdoor learning space. We discussed the Pursuit of Excellence program at Valley View and Bayberry is attended in the morning before school begins. Teachers work with students using a variety of resources to develop needed skills. Measurable goals. Principals explain that measurable goals are set and continually evaluated by the teachers using a variety of instruments. A discussion of the use of AI in schools. NJDOE, New Jersey Department of Education, has been providing resources. Myself and Jen attended NJSBA workshop on AI. Valley View librarian ELA teacher attending the NJDOE summit on AI. Policy committee will review when policies begin to be developed. Cell phones. Research is finding that students can become addicted to their electronic devices. Bayberry students must keep cell phones and other electronics in backpacks. Valley View students can't bring cell phones or electronic devices to class. They're collected in the main office and parents must pick them up if cell phones are used in school. Exceptions are made for students who need a device for medical reasons or for a class program. Cell phones and other electronic devices will be further discussed in the policy committee. We will have an annual audit presentation on December the 19th, 2024. Thanks.
Thank you. We're going to go to policy. Dory?
Sure. The policy committee met on Wednesday, November 13th. The meeting was between 5:30 to 6:36 p.m. It was virtual. Those in attendance were Board President Manuel Gonzalez, myself, Danielle Amadeo, and Phyllis Chouette, and Dr. Glazer was absent for the meeting. The committee went over the following agenda items, and just so the board knows, there was not an agenda in the packet, so you didn't miss anything. We just didn't have one. We only had a certain number of policies, so we just kind of went with it. We went over policy P3261, dress and grooming. The committee received no feedback from any other board members and had no changes to this, so it's on the agenda for a second reading tonight. We also went over briefly policy 5440, honoring student achievement. We really couldn't review the policy. We discussed it very briefly, just basically that we couldn't review it, so we're going to wait for a second reading on that. So that we can get more feedback from the administration because board members had questions about that one. Then we went over policy and regulation 7510, use of school facilities. The committee felt the additional cover letter for the school facilities use form was appropriate, and the policy should be on the agenda for a first reading. Hold on one second. I was just making sure the one wasn't on the agenda. For new business, we went over policy briefly 9210, which was the community standard response time policy. This, for some reason, was removed from the district website, and the committee is not sure why. The committee has asked the administration to investigate this and should be on the next policy committee agenda. If the number of the policy conflicts with another one, then the policy will be brought to the committee to possibly change the number for the community standard response time policy, since it's an originally created policy for our district. All staff should understand that the community response time policy was not abolished and should still be followed. And then we had a proposal of an additional original transportation policy that we discussed during the meeting. The committee reviewed the process of creating an original policy. The appropriate experts that need to be consulted will be, and the potential timeline it would take to create such a policy was discussed. The intention of the additional policy is to help guide new and existing staff members, contractors, shared service employees, parents, and anyone else who is unfamiliar with the terrain of our beautiful Watchung landscape and all the challenges that come with it. Our terrain is difficult and can pose a challenge when developing bus routes. So the committee agreed to develop a policy that would define specific problems that are faced in Watchung. The committee also agreed to provide a list of guidelines which any person involved in developing and or coordinating our bus routes and transportation of students to follow in hopes of cutting down any potential problem areas and unsafe situations in our town. The committee agreed to place the steps for an escalation process for parents in the policy in case a parent or parents find their child's bus stop unsafe, and a timeline for how long the escalation process should take. As a first step in the process, a committee member will draft a version of what the committee discussed and will provide that to the administration and the transportation coordinator for their feedback. That's it.
Thank you, Dory. Right, so now we'll move back up to personnel. Mr. Fraser?
The Personnel Committee met on Thursday, November 14th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. It was a virtual meeting. In attendance were myself, Anthony Ingracia, Jennifer Vincescua, and Karen Bishop Johnson. We discussed a salary equalization, the SHU affiliation of nurses, which is just an agreement that we made with Seton Hall in order to have nurses, and it will be funded by Seton Hall University, so that's very nice. As for the board agenda items, we have a Valley View secretary recommendation. We also had some revised extracurricular position. We had some revised leaves of absences. We also have new student teacher, additions to before and after care staff, and an additional chaperone for the buses.
Okay, and then I will move on to operations and finance.
One second. The Operations and Finance Committee met on November 12th, 2024. In attendance were myself, Manny, Connor O'Brien, Dory Harvey, Jen Aguilera, Karen Bishop Johnson, and Ricky Boyd. The virtual meeting began at 5 p.m. We got a quick referendum project update. Connor provided an update on the HVAC progress last week, or I guess the week before. One of the rooms didn't have heat, so we had portable heaters brought in until the issue was resolved, which it is now. Northeastern was working on some lighting issues. Connor also provided Connor has provided the business office with an updated budget spreadsheet. Spreadsheet. The office will check the listing against the purchase order. We also are beginning planning on outdoor projects. The chillers will remain on schedule to be installed over spring break. Floor unit vents are easier to replace than the ones that are located in the ceiling. It was also reported that the heating situation has been challenging, but it has been getting better. Karen also reported that the preliminary audit reports have been received. The public audit report will be at the December Board of Ed meeting. We also discussed a little bit about transportation, which Dory did go over. We did happily note that the students are arriving to school on time. And then we also discussed, again, the recommendation for a Valley View secretary.
Okay, we're going to move on to Ad Hoc Negotiations Committee. That is myself and Mr. Fresh and Ms. Aguilera and Danielle Medeo. We don't have any current updates for that. Board Liaison reports, legislation. Mr. Fresh?
No updates provided this time.
Somerset County Educational Services, Ms. Harvey?
We haven't had a meeting.
Okay. Somerset County School Board of Associations Liaison, Ms. Amadeo?
There is a meeting coming up January 27th that people can put in their calendars, which I think is a repeat of the workshop Jen recently attended on for the board secretary's report. So if people want to catch that and missed it last time, that's another opportunity. I believe it's the same one.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so Regionalization Committee, that is myself. We have not had a meeting yet. MUJC, Dr. Glazer?
I was out of the district. I
Out of the
wasn't able to
district.
attend the board meeting.
Okay. Committee engagement, anyone here from PTO? No? Anyone here from WEF? Camille?
Good evening, everyone. Angela Mealy from WEF. Nice to see everyone. I guess everybody's already sung WEF's praises, so I'll just thank everyone. Had a great trunk or treat. The kids had so much fun, and I had so much fun. Everybody seemed to have a blast, and I think the trunks were just amazing, like you said, Dr. Glazer, and we're so happy to provide that. It's such a fun event for the community. Also, we have tomorrow our Friendsgiving, so we're looking forward to our pizzas for 275 people here at Valley View. So that's a really fun event that we look forward to every year. It's really exciting. And we'll be working with Dr. Glazer on getting some grants going this year. And we don't have any other events planned, but it's been a busy last couple of weeks, and I thank you all for your support. Have a good night.
Okay, anyone here from CPAG? No? All right. So now we will move on to comments from the public on agenda items only. We welcome input from the public. There are 2 times during the meeting when the public is invited to speak. The first opportunity for comments on the agenda items is now. The second opportunity for public comments is towards the end of the meeting. Total allotted time for public comments is 30 minutes. Before you make your comments, please state your name and municipality of residence. In the event it appears the public comment portion of the meeting may exceed 30 minutes, the presiding officer may limit each statement made by the participant to 3 minutes duration. Our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but rather offered as opportunities to share input with the board. In instances where the board feels a response is needed, the presiding officer or superintendent will address the comments. New Jersey statutes do not permit a board to discuss personnel or hiring in public sessions. Names of the students should not be used. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of legal rights of those affected and identified in their comments, and be aware that they are personally legally responsible with potential liability for comments that they make to the board. The board shall not be held liable for comments made by the public.
Good evening, everyone. Tom Nadbielny, and I'd like to congratulate Dory and team for winning the board election this year. And I have a couple comments. Last time we went over quite an extensive report about the grades and the proficiency tests statewide, and we went over multiple slides, many slides in fact, but there was no big picture, no executive summary, no context. So I went back and looked for the last 3 years, 22, 23, and 24, and said, where were we then and where are we now? So if we look at ELA, those who fell below expectations, so the bottom 3 categories, right, ELA. So for Bayberry in 2022, it was 41.5%. 23, it was 40.5%. And this year, 24, it's 43%. So we're kind of going in the wrong direction there. Same thing for grades 5, 6, and 7. I left off 8th grade because we had that business about algebra and geometry and all that stuff. And since these were percentages, it's a little hard to merge all that stuff. So for grades 5, 6, and 7, in 2022, only 21% were not proficient. And then in the next 2 years, including 24, it's up to 26. So again, we're going backwards there. Now for math in Bayberry, back in 22, it was 35.5% not proficient. And now it's 39. So we've lost a little ground there as well. And then for grades 5, 6, and 7, we started at 45% not proficient, and now we're down to 41. So that's one right spot. Now, it was also suggested at the last meeting, and we had a little bit of a discussion about what the goals should be. And someone in the audience, I think it was Mr. Kraft, suggested that if we add in the ones who approached expectations, the numbers look a lot better. So what I'm suggesting to you as a board, that the goal for this year ought to be everybody who is approaching expectations, we push them over the top to meet expectations. Okay, now that's no small task. According to the numbers I saw from, and adding them all up, there were 79 of those in total, all system-wide for ELA. We're approaching expectations. And then in math, the number is 103. So it's a lot of students that we have to push over. But if we did that, okay, then the overall pass rate, if you will, would in the ELA would be in the 80 to 90% range, which I think everybody would be doing a happy dance about. And then in math, it would be even better, and the higher grades would be close to 90%. So if we just push those kids up one notch, that's all we're asking, get us up into the 80 to 90 percentile range, and it's not hard. Well, it probably is hard. Okay, and you've got resources, you've got student teachers, you've got all kinds of things, but if you could just get them up there and get us back on track, that's the challenge for you guys. So I leave it in your good hands to figure out how to do that, and Dr. Glazer will be leading the charge here. Anyway, that's all I have, and it's up to you guys to set those objectives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Hans Jew at Elsinore Drive. I too want to reflect back on the last meeting where we talked about the proficiency testing, the state tests. I didn't really get a good handle on, how we did and how the board feels. To me, the only time you can progress when you understand where you are, and if you understand where you are, then you can go where you're going. Now, from the presentation that I saw, I didn't know where we are. Now, there probably is a lot of ways to look at it, but one way, which I think is objective, because they don't have an axe to grind, is the U.S. News and World Report. Their assessment of schools for 2025 came out since our last meeting. And I just brought some of those results along because I think it gives us some benchmarking that we can work off of. For Bayberry, they evaluated that out of 1,300 schools that fall in the primary area, grades 1 through 4 or 5, that Bayberry ranks 359th in the state. That's from the top out of the 1,300 schools. So that puts Bayberry in the 73rd percentile. That means 27% of the schools are performing better in the state of New Jersey than Bayberry. They have the proficiency as math proficient in Bayberry at 67% and reading proficient at 67 for math and 57 for reading. So that really means that almost half of our kids in Bayberry aren't proficient in reading. I think, these are the things that we have to address. Where are we? And then we can move on. As a comparison to last year Bayberry was ranked 290th. So we fell about 60 positions, although the math proficiency was 42% at that time, and the reading proficiency was 57%. What I found interesting was when we start looking around at towns near us, I scanned the U.S. News and World Report, and I suggest you do that too. I looked at Scotch Plains. I don't think of Scotch Plains as an academic juggernaut, but if you look at Scotch Plains' numbers, their top-ranked school is Ackerman Coles, which ranks 107th compared to 300 and something, which Bayberry ranks, and their math proficiency is 78. Their reading proficiency is 74. That's their top school. Their next school is Evergreen, and that drops down to 191, about 90 points lower, and the math there still is 72 and 67. not too shabby. School 1 is the next one, and that drops to 198, so it's almost still, would double almost as much of that. The math proficiency there is 62, and reading is 72. Yeah, not too bad. And their lowest one, their 5 schools, is 322. Their teacher ratio to student ratio is 12-1, where we have 9-to-1s and 10-to-1s. The math proficiency there is still 72, and reading is 57. So they rank 322. And then the 5th one is McGinn. They're the 13-to-1 teacher-to-student ratio. They're 341st in the state, 74th percentile, 2 percentiles above us. As I said, their proficiency was 71%. So Scotch Plains, their worst performing school is better than our school. That's why I say, we have to set some kind of benchmarks to do more of a comparison to likes to likes. There are some superstars. You have a book. It's interesting when I went through this thing. Sometimes like karma. There's a place called Brookside School. My truly beloved spent 4 years there. She used to drive my Mustang. I had a '65 Mustang, which the boys just adored when she drove into school. But that school happens to rank 96th in the state. I think Dr. Glazer has a connection with Cranford also. 13-to-1 teacher-to-student ratio. Math proficiency, 77%. Reading proficiency, 77%. Again, this is not a Mendham or a place like that. It's a upper middle class town. But when you look at those scores, their lowest school, they've got some 3 to 8s, which you really can't compare. Livingston is 3 to 5. This is 151. We're 200 points below them. 11-to-1 student to teacher ratio is the math proficiency is 68 and 75. Then if you want to get into some real superstars, you've got New Providence. Again, nice town, but not Short Hills. 45. Saltbrook School, math proficiency 78, reading proficiency 84. These are things to aspire to. One other thing that U.S. News and World does, we're always looking for measurements, and I'd like to suggest one tonight that the board adopt. And it's right, it's objective. It's not something that is interpretive, or they interpret it, but we can look at their interpretation. But in their evaluations, they do something like, okay, this is Bayberry 2025. Got too many papers here, but in their evaluations, they put ranking factors, and they give you what the ranking factors are. I have it here if you want to read it. I don't want to read it to you, but they come up with how a district should do based upon their socioeconomic makeup. So a school district that's economically disadvantaged wouldn't be expected to perform the way a high economic one performs. But in the ranking factors, they put in the reading proficiency. This is again, this is I'm talking about Bayberry, but the factors that they put in is reading performance and math performance in addition to proficiency. This is how they think the school should perform based upon their evaluation. And when you look at Bayberry, the reading proficiency is 451st in the state out of 1,300. I don't think too many board members would be too proud of that one. I know I wouldn't. Math proficiency ranking is 195th, and then they come up with a performance, and this is their makeup, their determinations to how we're doing against our socioeconomic benchmark. And for reading performance, they put us as somewhat below expectations. So that's probably like a C minus, I would think, if you look at these in grades. And in math performance, they have us somewhat above expectations. Now, their ratings go from somewhat below, somewhat above, and well exceeds. So there's a very great gradation. So we're in a reading performance of somewhat below expectations, and then the math is somewhat above expectations. Now, I'll leave with this. We can talk about this some more, but I encourage you that you use that as one of the benchmarks, one of the measures that we use, that we at least need to get to somewhat above expectations and everything. I think we should probably, district like Watchung, with our socioeconomic makeup, we really should be well above expectations. But I leave you with this thought: if you're a real estate agent, someone's confronting you and saying, hey, I'm going to go into the Union, Somerset area, and I'm looking for a good school district. You think that real estate agent realistically could say, gee, you really ought to look at Watchung? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jewett, and I appreciate all of your research. I've spoken to this before, and if the board would like a presentation again, I'm happy to do that. There are a number of organizations that rank school districts. Each of them have different criteria. U.S. News and World Report being one of them, very fine ranking. What I don't know about most of the schools you spoke of, I do know that Brookside School is a K-5 school. One of the challenges of looking at the data the way you did is that as a K-4 district, we only have 2 grade levels testing, not 3. That does change the proficiency. If you read under how U.S. News and World Report criteria works, it does skew sometimes the middle school up and the elementary down, or vice versa. Some districts are K-6. And again, I am unaware of many of the schools that you listed. I am giving a summary. I don't need you to share. My point being, as we are, as a board, as a community, as a school district, I have every confidence in telling any real estate agent, any person looking to move to this community in Union County, Somerset County, or otherwise, that this is a community that they should be looking to for a large number of reasons.
Well, that's fine, but you're not going to be telling that to people. The real estate agent's going to be telling that to people.
And I did not interrupt you.
I didn't.
Beyond that.
That's incorrect.
That is not.
My statement was the real estate agent. Yours is yours.
So believe it or not, we get the calls all the time from families to tour and from their real estate agents. Regardless, my point is, of course our goal, all of our goal, and I cannot speak for the board members that are here, I will speak for my administrative staff, my teachers, the people that are instructing on a daily basis. Of course, our goal is for 100% of students to meet or exceed expectations. And we are going to continue, as our district goals and our other goals, to provide the resources necessary to move the district in that direction. Thank you. We all agree with you.
Is that going to be a written goal, or is that going to be, this is what we're shooting for?
So,
going to be a measurable goal? We're going to hit that in a certain amount of time, or we're just going to keep on trying to get there?
So, as we've explained to you previously, each teacher in this district has the measurable goal in math and language arts. They have measurable goals for the students that are in front of them, the students that they are instructing, and those measurable goals are reported to the state every year. We use that data. NJSLA is one data point. U.S. News and World Report rankings might be a different data point. We use formative assessments. We have any number of measurable tools to look at student growth. I understand your frustration that it's not 5% of all students will increase or 10% of this group will increase, but our measurable goals from our individual staff members, from our district administrators, are related to the individual students and the personalized instruction in front of them.
Well, we're not going in the right direction with them. We deteriorated in Bayberry by a significant amount in the measurement. And by the way, the point that you make about the schools, the Saltbrook School is a K through 6 school in New Providence, and it's the 45th best in the state. So I am only addressing the items you made a point that the measurement might not be valid. There are counter arguments to your point where a K through 6 ranks 45th in the state with 78 and 84th performance.
I understand. What I'm saying is our 5th and 6th graders count at Valley View, not at Bayberry. That's all I'm telling you.
And
That's all I'm saying.
And we have half of our students that are, almost half of our students that are not proficient in math. And you make excuses.
I am not making excuses.
Then what
sir.
are you doing?
I've been here for a year. What I have observed, we have reported on publicly. There has not been adequate professional development for staff. There has not been adequate curriculum writing to continue to meet the skills expectations and grade levels. There has not been a new math textbook adoption in a number of years. If there is not an investment in instruction and in the program and in the staff that is leading that instruction, I am not sure how you expect different results. We, this board, collectively, and the people that
You're
before,
trying to
excuse me,
convince.
I did not interrupt you. The people that are sitting here who asked questions during the budget process, as you did, as we talked about what the goals are, as the district goal was set during the board retreat to use resources to increase all of those things to make an impact, to change the outcome, that commitment has been clear, it's been written, it's been stated, it's been on TV, on the website. I believe that, again, our staff, the administration, this board are all committed to the exact same things that you're saying, are all working in that direction, are all making positive gains and using the measurements to continue to monitor and adjust instruction, resources, opportunities, so that every child meets or exceeds expectations.
And we're the lowest performing district in the area. You keep on coming up with all of these wonderful things. There are 13-to-1 student to teacher ratios. That would mean that those kids aren't getting the time that our kids are getting. We are just not performing.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? I don't have too much more time, but if anyone else does, okay. All right, we're going to move on to action items now.
Now we have executive.
Go to the
Oh,
executive.
okay, so now we're going to go into executive session. Whereas the Open Public Records Act, NJSA 10:4-11 permits the Board of Education to meet in closed session to discuss certain matters. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Education adjourns to closed session to discuss a matter rendering confidential by federal state law student matters. The matter relating to attorney-client privilege was also a late addition in the executive session agenda in addition to those matters. No action is expected to be taken.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? No? Okay.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Okay, now we're going to move into action items. Mo, can you please move administrative items?
Sure. Make a motion to move items 1, or A1, approve minutes of previous meeting. 2, affirm the superintendent's HIB report. 3, approve contracts with the NJ Commission for the blind and visually impaired. 4, accept school bus emergency evacuation drill report.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Agliaro?
Yes.
Mr. Frage?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Santos?
Yes.
Dr. Vincent-Kua?
Yes to all, and I recuse myself from administrative item 2. Yes, thank you.
Okay, got that. Mr.
In terms of affirm the superintendent's HIB report.
Okay, Mr. Bassett is absent. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to, Fatima, can you please move personnel items?
Approve change of assignment, 1. Approve before and after care staff. Approve district staff to provide support services during school district-sponsored activities. Number 4, approve revised extracurricular positions. Number 5, appoint revised district substitutes for the 2024-2025 school year. Number 6, approve revised Valley View additional classes. Number 7, approve leave of absence. Number 8, approve student teaching. Number 9, approve graduate externship. Number 10, approve before school supervision duty. Number 11, approve appointment of overnight fire watcher.
Second.
All in favor? Any discussion?
I'm just curious if that, the Buildings and Grounds Director, the $100 an hour, if that's like a normal after-hours rate?
So that was in particular driven from an emergency where our
Right.
fire panel, right? So how do I explain? The 2 other companies we had reached out to, one, they wanted $1,200 a night, one wanted $3,000 for 3 days minimum, but all wanted upfront credit card payments. So we felt very lucky that we were able to get one of our own staff who works during the day to just stay here overnight. At first, we thought he was going to drive back and forth 6 times, and then he just ended up staying here all night.
So is that like a union rate then for?
No, but we $500 versus $1,200 or $3,000, and it was like just so far beyond that. We just
Right.
just thought it was a fair thing to be here from midnight till 6 a.m. walking the buildings. He had to keep a log. That's what the fire marshal said we had to do.
So did we ever fix, it's not fixed?
Yes, it is
It's
fixed.
fixed, so we don't
Yes,
have to worry
the
about
panel- It isn't, but, I kind of put it on here thinking, if this ever happens again, it's awkward to be in that position where there was no one to call, for us. We didn't have any position and you don't really want to make one up, so it was like, I thought, if we put it on here, if you agree, then we have it. If this ever happens again, we're obviously hoping not. There's been these issues with the panels not speaking with all the new equipment, but they've come today, they've cleared everything, replaced another panel, so hopefully that was the last time, but
So it didn't actually happen. He didn't have to stay here then?
he did have to.
One night.
He had to stay that one night, yeah.
Okay.
He had to stay here.
Do you think that okay, so I understand the $100 an hour, like it was an emergency and you saved us
Yeah.
a ton of money, so thank you.
We felt.
Quick thinking. But approving this, like we're approving it for, like to create a position
It's a stipend.
in the future that we would pay $100 an hour. Do you think, like $100 an hour is just a lot? So do you think if we offered $50 an hour, if people would put their name on a list to be called in the future? Or do you really feel like $100 an hour is about what it takes for
Someone to stay here
someone
all
to
night.
stay? Is it
Yeah,
like
we
midnight
did.
to 5 kind
Yeah,
of?
I
I get
did.
in an emergency situation, like I have no issue whatsoever.
It's not like that we're going to
But-
say next Tuesday, can you spend?
No, but
midnight
like
to
to
5?
create-
It's like tonight, can you come back and stay? So.
Yeah, no, I know
I
it was
did
last
feel it
minute.
was fair. I
Yeah.
felt like it was fair to a fair wage to pay someone for staying here all night after,
Mm-hmm.
being on staff, but you don't have to agree. I just felt like that was fair. And it was so much less than 1,200 or 3,000.
considering-
Yeah, I know, and that is a going rate, and apparently that's a business that I didn't know existed. Fire watcher business.
So this is as needed if this ever happens again.
That's all it is.
That's all it is.
It's only as needed. It's only as needed, and it may never.
As Jen said, $50 didn't sound so bad either.
But are we setting a precedent then by just approving that? I think that's what maybe Jen's asking, that next time it won't be 100, maybe it would be 50? Is that what
I
you're
was just
saying?
wondering if, like, I have no issue with what happened at all. She saved us a ton of money. I was just wondering if, because $100 an hour seems like a lot of money to sit and do rounds and watch for fire and a lot of heat, just assuming about what they're,
It's really the timing. It's really
Yeah.
the whole midnight to 6
yeah.
a.m.
Sure, he worked here all day.
Yeah.
I know, I have no
was
issue with
more
that.
like
That's
that.
what I'm saying. I'm saying, do you think, like, if you went to the staff and said, hey, we're putting this new stipend in, it's $50 an hour to do just this, who wants to be on the call list for the next time it happens? I understand this is probably very
Right.
rare.
And the hourly rate of that employee, this is probably a double or triple
I mean, it's
rate.
you have $100 for 5 hours, right?
It's $100 an hour. Yeah, so they're
it's
hourly.
like
Well, actually,
people,
it's like-
I would assume people be tripping over themselves to sign up to be called. I just wonder if we could.
I mean, if you did the math, if you make whatever, $27 an hour, it's, it's more than double. Like it's like a Sunday, double pay
Yeah.
type of thing. But
That's what you're basing it on, sort of.
it was just, yeah. But we can always react the same way again if there's an emergency.
Yeah, we can
don't have
revisit
to.
this and
Yeah.
have to too, right?
Yeah, we don't have, it would be the same thing if there's an emergency.
Yeah.
We don't have to formalize it.
We don't have,
So
yeah.
someone
So this already happened?
Yeah, we had an emergency.
Yeah.
No, so
wrote that,
we're
right?
approving it now after the fact.
You're approving, no, you're not, you don't
what
approve.
I- yeah, that's what I'm
You
asking.
don't approve emergencies. When an emergency happens, we react. I called the board president like I should do. But what I did was I put a stipend on here so that the next time we wouldn't have to call an emergency. You don't have to have the stipend. It's just there for an emergency basis.
But if you said that this is similar to what a Sunday, working a Sunday would
rate
be?
right now, when we have all these contractors in, they get paid, double time. for
Well,
2 days.
contractor, not a teacher.
Yeah, not an employee, but
Custodian.
Yeah, custodian, okay.
it's the custodian.
Well,
Who just
if
did
it's a
it, but-
similar rate to that, then maybe that makes sense.
Can a teacher even do that? Can a teacher stay
He's
over?
not a teacher, he's maintenance. He
That's
has
what I'm
a-
saying, though. Can a teacher do that? I don't think so, right? It has to be a
Teacher?
maintenance.
No, yeah, they would need, they're in the building, they need a license. They need a Black Seal license
And access to
in the building.
It makes sense that someone like that might have another job somewhere else and get paid that amount for a Sunday or whatever, so maybe
Yeah.
it's appropriate.
I mean, I really don't expect this, I really hope this doesn't happen
happen.
again, but, I would, for me, it's easier to be prepared so that
Yeah.
we're not scrambling and trying to figure out, who to call, all that, but it's either way, I mean, it is emergency usage, so.
Would you guys be in favor of bringing it to $75 and passing it today?
75. Well, I guess the question is if people will do it, right? Like this person,
That's why I was asking what the rate was, because I don't want to drop it down and then.
we don't have
Yeah, we should-
somebody.
We should
Can I
just leave
just
this
say,
thing
and I
alone.
hope we never have to do it again. Like, that's my,
Sure.
It's 27 an hour and then double time.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah.
just,
It is still above that
yeah.
amount.
I mean, I really don't want to have to call the fire watcher company. That would have really been a bummer, and especially because we don't have credit cards here, and it would have been my credit card or something like that. There wouldn't have been any way to pay them. There wasn't, and they weren't going to come if we didn't pay them up front. So,
All right.
we felt lucky at the time.
I mean, if I have no idea if this is going to pass or not, but if it doesn't, I mean, could we just get more information to find out what they're saying? Like, if you dropped it down, would employees still be interested in doing it at a lower rate, as opposed to us approving it tonight for this amount?
I'm sure.
They might not now.
Sure we could.
know this is an option. Now that they know this isn't, this has been set as an option.
Well, it has been, but it doesn't mean that the board's going to approve it.
And that's fine. It would, that $75 times 5 hours would be, whatever that amount is. It's not that much. So it's fine. Either way.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I'm just asking questions. I don't know.
This isn't going to happen anytime soon again, so let's ask.
Let's hope.
Let's ask and then vote on it next time.
Let's hope.
Okay.
Make a motion to table number 11?
Yeah.
Second.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on.
I don't.
Wait, do we have to
I don't
respond?
think the term is table it though.
I think you could just say no, and then if we rewrite it,
Oh, that's
Okay.
what we'll
vote
do.
no.
Yeah, we just
Vote
voted.
no, and then if we rewrite it, I can ask if anybody would sign up for that list,
Yeah, that sounds good.
and then if they won't, then we'll just not do anything and we'll react in an emergency if that doesn't work out. So either way. Okay.
Because the idea of tabling it means we're going to come back to it before the end of the meeting. So there's like another term. I forgot what it was. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, roll call, please.
Okay. Let me just quick. Okay. Mrs. Igliaro?
Yes to all, no to number 11.
All right. Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes to all except number 11. No to number 11.
Okay. Mrs. Harvey?
Yes, except for number 11.
Okay. Mrs. Jewett?
Yes, except for number 11.
Okay. Mrs. Sanchez?
Yes, except for number 11.
Dr. Vinces Kua?
Yes to all items with the exception of 11.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
And Mr. Frage?
Yes to all except 11.
Okay, got it. Okay. The rest of the motion passes, except for number 11. Okay.
You'd have to pay me a lot more than $100 an hour for me to sleep here at night. No coffee machine in this place.
And the taxes come out, you're left with
All
double.
right. So, operations and finance, Dr. Vincenzo.
I'd like to make a motion to move items from Section C, Operations Finance. Item number 1, approve payment of bills. Item number 2, approve transfer of funds 2024 to 2025. Item 3, accept financial reports. And item 4, approve shared services agreement with Watchung Hills Regional High School. Item 5, approve shared services agreement with Watchung Hills Regional High School. 6, authorize submission of comprehensive maintenance plan and Form M1. Item 7, approve payment application for Bayberry and Valley View HVAC upgrades. Item 8, approve payment application for educational alterations at Valley View School. Item 9, approve payment application for toilet room renovations at the Bayberry Elementary School. Item 10, approve special service providers. Item 11, accept donation of American flag. Item 12, accept donation of dictionaries.
That's very nice.
Second. Discussion.
Call, please. Discussion?
No?
Call, please.
Mrs. Amadeo?
Yes.
Mrs. Harvey?
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett?
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua,
Yes?
Mrs. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Mr. Frage,
Yes.
Mrs. Igliaro.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, Ms. Jewett, I got a difficult one for your curriculum.
It says curriculum.
I know. All in favor?
All in favor of
So we
curriculum?
don't have to do anything there, right, in this case? Okay. Um, Ms. Aguilera, can you please move policy?
Sure. We have policy for first reading, P/R 7510, and for a second reading, P 3216 and P 4216.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Okay. Mrs. Harvey,
Yes.
Mrs. Jewett,
Yes.
Mr. Frage,
Yes.
Mrs. Amadeo,
Yes.
Dr. Vinces Kua,
Yes.
Mrs. Santos,
Yes.
Mrs. Igliaro,
Yes.
and Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, board business?
I have something quick to say. So as the NJSBA liaison, I sort of took charge of our board goal of professional development, and I did send out an email saying, we've progressed quite a bit on that. We've had a lot of members attend workshop. We've had members attending webinars, attending meetings. We've covered every topic that was identified in the survey, from financial reports to AI to tutoring to committee structure, budget preparation. A Word document recently went out that had basically links to every single financial information portal you could ask for, including explanations of board secretary reports, slideshows from Atlantic City. And that was all from the business administrator in residence from the NJSBA. So I feel like we've, all taken, it seriously and everyone's participated. Unfortunately, one measurement that we had to measure our goal was to get board certification by the end of this year. We have met all of the criteria except for a policy review by the School Boards Association. And unfortunately, even though we requested it months ago, they are backed up. So it is unless they suddenly review our entire policy, and they would not get us a timeline, we are probably not going to meet that criteria, and we'll have to postpone it until next year, which means that our education credits reset, so partially reset, so we may have to, which I think we all planned on continuing the professional development activities for next year anyways, and everyone has to complete their mandatory training again. And then the policy wellness check has to be completed by the NJSBA, and then I can apply. So I'm hoping that we can do that before our next board retreat, but just wanted everybody to know that it's not at the fault of anybody here. Everybody took it seriously and participated in lots of training, and we as a group met all of our goals. It is disappointing because it's out of our control, but
But yay.
I'd like to just
We
make a
did it.
comment and just really thank you for taking the lead and organizing along as well with Danielle in organizing all of the various trainings and opportunities, because I know it takes a lot to kind of pull all that information together and disseminate it out to us. So that was really important, right, to take the lead and be able to kind of share the options. So just thank you very much for doing that.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing that there's nobody here from the public to make any comments, I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.